Welcome to Between the Reads, where we shine a spotlight on some of the most talented Black authors in the industry to discuss their works of fiction and the inspirations behind them. Each episode will dive into the rich and diverse world of literature, exploring everything from historical fiction to romance and speculative fiction to YA and beyond. Tune in as we celebrate the voices of Black authors and the power of storytelling. Are you ready, Boos and Bros? Then sit back, relax, and let's get to it. Yo, I don't usually start off laughing with these things. It's usually an intro, but listen, Rosey cracked her neck right when the countdown was going. Just let me crack my neck. And my friend Chelsea was like, listen, you got to start off laughing. I'm like, no, I'm not going to start off laughing. But here we are. So, Rosey Lee writes hopeful stories about complicated families and complex friendships. As a native of the West Bank of New Orleans, Louisiana, who lives in Atlanta, Rosey's writing is inspired by the people, traditions, and food that anchor her to the South. She enjoys cooking, listening to live music, and occasional bursts of fanatical bargain shopping. The Gardins of Edin is her debut novel. Rosey, welcome to Between the Reads.
Thank you. And I love that we are starting off having fun. So I know this is going to be a fantastic conversation. I have no doubt, and I am ready.
You are ready, and you are also the very first guest of 2024 for Between the Reads. And my podcast is officially 4 years old.
Congratulations.
Yes. Whoop, whoop. So great way to start off the year, y'all. This book, The Gardens of Edin, you must get. So many gems, such a page turner, the drama, the secrets, it's all there. So why don't you tell us briefly what The Gardens of Edin is all about?
Happy to. So I like to describe it as a messy family drama with a happy ending. And usually I say it's a messy family drama with a happy ending. So it's a multi-generational story, and it follows the 4 women of the Gardin family who live in the fictional town of Eaton, Georgia. So the family's at a bit of a crossroads. You've got Ruth, who's the CEO of the family's multi-million-dollar peanut business. And she got that position because her husband, Bo, recently passed away. Her younger cousin by marriage, Martha, is not happy at all about Ruth's position in the company, her position in the family, or her status in the community. She's just not having it. And Martha's slightly younger sister, Mary, really just wants to mind her business and tend to her new restaurant that serves delicious comfort food with a healthy spin. But Martha keeps dragging her into the drama, as sisters sometimes do. And then family matriarch Naomi is really just tired of being the peacemaker. She wants the women to figure out how to keep the peace and just love each other without her intervention. So all of the women are keeping some sort of secret, some of them many secrets. And also they are really just having to admit to themselves that some of the things that they thought were true may not be so true after all.
Yes. Because, girl, there was so much going on. And I'm trying not to jump ahead of myself, but oh my goodness. Yeah. So you wrote me a very nice letter that accompanied this gorgeous book box that you sent me.
Thank you.
And you stated that you understand the emphasis placed on family unity and the complexities that come along with being a part of a Southern family, and in the case of this book, you understand the dynamics of a dysfunctional Southern family. Let's unpack that a little bit.
Okay. So, most families are dysfunctional, right? No family's perfect is really what I usually say, but truth is most are dysfunctional. I have been a lifelong Southerner, so I've seen how dysfunction works within Southern families. I say lifelong, though. I spent 4 years away for school, but visited
still lifelong. That don't matter.
Okay, thank you. But in the South, we do families a certain way, and this is a generalization, of course. But many of the generalizations about Southern families, it's just they're just true. And there's just nothing like Southern family dysfunction. So just living life and
Mhm.
seeing what happens in my own family, but also hearing what happens in the families of my friends. And
Mhm.
we have a lot of tight knit communities in the South, so you kind of know what's going on sometimes in other people's families. But what I really
Mhm.
played around with is sometimes you think
Mhm.
you know, but you have no idea. Sometimes just what
Right.
we know just scratches the surface. And in a family
Yes.
like the Gardens, that is like the Gardin family, that's very prominent in their community
Mhm.
because their ancestors were one of the founding families of this town of
Mhm.
Eaton, Georgia. So
Mhm.
people pay attention to what they do. They give
Right.
back to the community. They're very involved. They're civic leaders. People pay attention, but they really like to make sure that things look just so. As we like to
Mhm.
say in the South, things just keep it make it
Mhm.
looking just so. But there's a
Mhm.
lot going on. So the dysfunction that people see just really just scratches the surface.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. We'll get into a little bit of that. But now, why did you choose to give the women not only biblical names,
Mhm.
but incorporate the personality traits of the female Bible characters into this story?
Sure. So, I've gone to church my whole life.
Mhm.
As a child, just going to Sunday school and vacation Bible school, I had teachers who made the Bible feel very real to me. And
Mhm.
so, there's one teacher in particular who she'd be like, "Children, these people are just like us. They are real people just like us." And so as a
Mhm.
child, I really paid attention to those stories,
Mhm.
and wondered, well, if they were just like us, what would that story look like in our current times?
Ah.
And I always wanted to know what happened after the stories told in the Bible. And
Mhm.
so just after years and years of wondering that, even still into adulthood, I decided I would just make it up.
Mhm.
But the idea, it's interesting. The idea just popped in my head one day.
Mhm.
And I hadn't been doing any like devotionals around women of the Bible or anything like that. I hadn't seen anything on television that made me think about it. It just popped in my
Mhm.
head. So I really believe God put it there. And I
Mhm.
said, I'm gonna do something with this. And so it took a
Okay.
while, but I kind of did.
Okay. Well, how long did it take you to write the book?
So I write in kind of what I call writing seasons. I've heard someone
Mhm.
use that phrase, so I,
Mhm.
I decided I'm going to start using it too.
Mhm.
Um, my regular everyday life is really busy. And so I
Mhm.
honestly don't have time to write every day or sometimes even every week.
Mhm.
So I said, I had just been thinking about this book for years. And I said, okay, if I'm going to get serious about writing, I'm going to set a goal. And it came from a place of wanting to do like a writing fellowship. But I'm like, I don't have
Mhm.
time to apply, for any fellowships and wait and see what happens. So I'll kind of create that type of space for myself. So I said, let me try to carve out a month of time. So I
Mhm.
pulled my vacation together. And because I'm self employed and can kind of schedule things on my own, I kept some of my work light in that month and said,
Mhm.
let's just try to knock out a first draft in a month. We don't
Wow.
hit all our goals, so I didn't quite hit the 4 weeks. But at about 6 weeks, about 6 weeks, a month and a half,
Mhm.
I had a messy first draft. It
Mhm.
had lots of holes in it, some big
Mhm.
holes, a couple real big holes. And when I say
Mhm.
holes, I mean like I think I know what this scene should be about or could be
Mhm.
about, but I don't
Mhm.
really know like how it will play out and if it's a good idea. So I'm gonna just leave that scene blank and write the next scene. So I had holes
Mhm.
like that. And then had some smaller things that I'm like, oh, I'm not sure about, or what do I want to put here? But I just left them there and just knocked out that first draft. And then when I went back and started editing it, I filled those things in.
You filled them in. Okay, I gotcha. So the heart, it was the main theme throughout the book, literally and figuratively.
Okay. Hmm.
Let's talk about how you used it in its physical and metaphorical forms to explore the intricate dynamics and emotional entanglements within the Garden family.
Okay, so let me ask you this. How spoiler free does this answer need to be?
That is on you, my love. If it's gonna be a spoiler, then let's
Okay, that's
it
okay.
just
I know how to answer it because I don't want to rob anybody of the experience. One of my
okay.
favorite things is when my family members and friends call me up and say, "Oh, I can't believe this. So I want people to have those moments in reading the
Okay.
book. So what I do say publicly is that the book does have themes around cardiovascular health, mental health, and the connection between them. So I think that's enough of an answer that there are some cardiovascular health themes. And I think there's enough of a space, and I do enough with it in the book that people can know that going into it, but not know where it's going to pop up or how it's going to pop up. And I'll just stop there with that answer.
Y'all in for a treat. That's all I'm going to say. And at first, you know, with everything that was going on, I have to admit, at first I was like, is Ruth like some kind of secret, like, I can't even say it because I don't want to ruin the book for anybody. But at first I had my suspicions about why people around her kept,
having, well, I think it's okay to say that. So, and if people are familiar, well, first of all, the first chapter is available online on my website as well as the Waterbrook website. So it's in like the first chapter. So I think it's okay to say.
I mean,
and
there was like a lot of death around her.
There's a lot of death around her. Yeah.
And I was just wondering. I'm like,
No, Ruth isn't up to anything suspicious. And if people, and again, so although my characters are loosely based on women of the Bible, I think it's very safe to say from everything I've heard from everyone that you don't have to have any biblical knowledge to enjoy the story.
You don't. You absolutely don't. I do. So as soon as I saw Ruth and Naomi, I was like, oh, okay.
Okay.
This is what we're doing.
Okay.
You know, and Mary and Martha, I picked on up on it immediately, but you do not have to have any biblical.
You don't have to. No, but if you know the biblical story of Ruth, then you know that Ruth was married to Naomi's son. So she married Naomi's son. And after the son died, Naomi introduced her to one of her family members. So so Ruth ended up marrying what would have been one of her husband's cousins. She married her deceased husband's cousin. And so I also really wanted to play around with that because, again, I had teachers in Sunday school who are like, these people are real and they're like us. And so my thought is, okay, I fully understand that back in biblical days, it was absolutely socially acceptable to marry your deceased husband's cousin. Not only acceptable, it was expected, right? But in contemporary times, certainly in the South, people would have some questions about that. And some thoughts
I had
about
some
that.
questions because I had forgotten about that whole thing, And so I was like, wait, is Ruth gonna? Are we like, offing people here? What is she doing? Slowly poisoning people here? But then I had to go back and think about Ruth in the Bible, and then I was like, oh, okay. I see a little, there's a little connection here. But initially, when I read, I was like, oh, okay. Possible serial killer here? What is going on?
No, it's not that kind of book.
She married people for money and then like offing them so she could like take over the family dynasty. Like I was creating all kinds of stuff. I'm just
You and Martha were reading all kinds of stuff. So Martha didn't go as far as to saying anyone killed anybody, but Martha is not happy about her marrying two of her cousins.
I hate that I even thought anything remotely like Martha because I do not like her at all.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry you don't like. One of my favorite things is that I think we can find things to relate to in a lot of the characters. I think Martha has some good. She's a complex, layered person, and I also really enjoy playing around with that because sometimes unlikable characters have some qualities that we can depend on in a family setting. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not going to get you to like Martha.
That leads me to my next question, which is about Martha.
Okay.
I love how Naomi described her as an arsonist who blended in so well when she set a fire that no one noticed. She simply faded into the background and watched it burn like a Yule log. When I tell you I know some Marthas, so let's talk about Martha. Was she inspired by anybody in particular, or was it just overall, this is just the type of person that you needed to have in this book? Where did Martha come from?
She, as you said, I think we all know Marthas, right? And I feel like, especially in families, and especially you asked me about my orientation to this story and family dysfunction.
Mhm.
Most of us have people in our families who are the ones that keep up most of the drama.
And
And
we
you
don't even realize it.
and you frequently don't even realize it. Sometimes they are just the beloved folks. And sometimes
Mhm.
there are folks who know,
Mhm.
but you love them. So you just let it ride. And so I really wanted to play around with that too. You know,
Yeah.
unchecked bad behavior can be catastrophic for a family. And
Mhm.
sometimes it can promote the healing and change that needs to happen. But
Mhm.
again, it's going to be real messy along the way.
Mhm. Martha reminds me of, now I'm probably telling my age here, but in Living Color.
Okay.
And there was, I think, Bonita Buttrell. She sat up in
All
the
right.
window, that
Mhm.
character, and
Oh,
don't
yes.
nobody talk about Miss Jenkins.
Yes,
And
yes,
she would
yes,
sit
yes.
there and, wave to somebody in the window and be
Mhm.
like, oh, there goes, so and so with her kids. And then as soon as they would walk by, she would have a whole bunch of bad stuff to say about them, but she's steady waving in their
Mhm.
face. And
Mhm.
Martha
Mhm.
reminds me of that, except she won't say it just behind your back. She'll say it right to your face and instigate and know she's instigating, but then be like, what? I'm just saying.
I'm just telling the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I could not stand Martha. When I tell you, every time there are bends in the book, because every time Martha was on the page saying some nonsense, I was like holding the book like, to choke this woman.
But you know what the thing is about Martha? Overall, she really does mean well. She really believes she's doing the right thing.
Rosie.
She does.
No,
She
no, ma'am.
believes she
Mm-mm.
believes she's doing the right
Mm-mm.
thing. She thinks she's doing it for the good of the family. Tell me you don't see that. Now, I'm not
No.
saying I'm not she said no, I do not.
Mm-mm, mm-mm,
She does.
mm-mm, mm-mm. Come on
Mhm.
now. The restaurant thing, she's so
Okay.
competitive.
Okay,
Gets her
okay,
own.
okay,
How is
don't
that for
no
the good
no
of the family?
no spoilers. I didn't say everything. I didn't say everything. She is selfish. Of course, she's selfish. She's selfish. But okay, so mm, how do we so we know there's a restaurant thing, but we're not going to say more about what the
Mm-mm.
restaurant thing is. What I
Mm.
will say about the restaurant thing, her rationale, I'm trying to say it without spoiling it. Her rationale is that that is for the larger good. That is her rationale. And that is in the book. And you know it's there. I see your face. Now, just because we don't agree with that, but
And
in my
so the way that she treats Mary, that's for the larger good too.
no, that's just selfishness.
Okay, see, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. I don't like her. I don't like her.
Oh, I'm not trying to get you to
I
she,
don't,
she
no. You trying to make me see her human
I'm
side, and I
just
don't want to do it.
you know what now I am trying to help you see her human side
Mm-mm.
because, all of the characters are flawed in some way, some more than others. What I can tell you though is I know people who have read the book, good people who've read the book, but because of their experiences,
Mm-hmm.
they've said to me that they really like Martha, understand Martha, and really they see her perspective. And I was shocked to hear this because I know these people so well. But let me tell you why I really appreciate that. And it helped me to say, wow, I guess I did a better job with this story than I thought, because I thought I had crafted an unlikable character that nobody would like. But what but what
I
I
don't.
learned is that, we all bring our histories and our story and our life experience to a book, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so that person who told, like this particular person I'm thinking of, she'd had experience with someone who was more like a Ruth, but who wasn't genuine. And so she missed some things about Ruth in this story. I shouldn't say missed, because I think she saw them. It's just she saw them through the lens of her lived experience.
Mm-hmm.
And it made her like, no. But it really made her empathize with Martha a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Whatever. She makes my eyes itch. She makes my neck itch. She makes me mad. Martha can go sit down somewhere because I can understand why initially she might have had some feelings when she was a
Mhm.
teenager. But
Mhm.
Ruth was there beyond that. And Ruth was
Mhm.
always helping her and all of
Mhm.
that. So she should have gotten over that. So
I don't disagree with you.
I understand some of why she acted the way she did when she was
Mhm.
younger, but grow up.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
know, and I don't like the way that okay.
Okay. Okay.
People listening, y'all read the book and y'all come in my DMs and let me know if you like Martha. We gonna see here.
Mhm.
Okay? I'm just
Mhm.
saying. I'm just saying.
Mhm.
So while we're on the subject, let's talk about Mary.
Okay, Mary.
She had an issue which we won't reveal.
Mhm.
And rather than let folks see a certain person for who they
Mhm.
really were,
Mhm.
she let people assume that she made some irresponsible choices.
Mhm. Mhm.
Why was it important to show that whole process?
Because again, in families, I've seen this happen time and time again. Sometimes people get labeled a certain way
Mhm,
because of choices that they've made, because of things that have happened to them, sometimes things that aren't even their fault.
mhm,
And they get labeled and they become treated a certain way
mhm,
in their families. And sometimes it's really hard for them to break out of that. And so sometimes they don't end up getting the support that they need,
mhm,
emotional support,
mhm,
just folks checking in on them because they think, oh, she's just makes bad decisions. She chooses the wrong man. She's a loser. She dropped out of school, whatever.
mhm,
And everyone sees them through that lens. And their stories to some extent can become self-fulfilling. And
mhm,
so I wanted to help people to see that about
mhm,
Mary and to
mhm,
ask themselves, number one, if you can relate to this because it's how people have treated you, maybe what are some ways you can deal with that?
mhm,
Through Mary's story, I hope people can kind of see that and ask themselves some questions about how they can deal with it. Not that it's their fault, but how to navigate through their families when people feel this way about them. But also on the
mhm,
other side, if you're the family member who's making these judgments about people, what's your level of responsibility and how do you correct that behavior? Because you
right,
can love that person and think you're being a supportive and good family member to them, but you have totally misjudged them and you are not. And so I
mhm,
really wanted to really play around with that, and help people to unpack that and to get some tools to fix that.
mhm, mhm. And while we're on this topic, I wanna talk about secrets
Okay.
because this is she really Mary really has this secret that
Huge
she's never let
secret.
anybody know.
Mhm.
And then but secrets are these heavy burdens that can take a physical toll on our health, like we see with Mary.
Mhm.
And when she finally allows certain things to come to light, she realizes that it isn't a burden to let them be seen,
Mhm.
but it's freeing.
Mhm.
So let's talk about that a little more because when people have secrets, there's often shame, there's often fear attached to those things. And we're so scared to let people know about these things because we're scared of what they might think about us. And she's
Mhm.
already been judged by her family. But let's lay that out a little bit more because once she gets to that point, she realizes that she's lighter.
Mhm.
Why was it important for you to show that, her releasing that fear and those secrets?
Yeah, so I wanted to really talk a bit more about the mind body connection.
Mhm,
Um we talk in this book about family history,
mhm,
um in terms of just the things we deal with in our lives and how we carry it, but
mhm,
also the family history of illness,
mhm,
and how that can play out in our own personal health history. So that's one
mhm,
piece.
mhm,
But then also, a big piece of it is there are only so many things we can control. And sometimes when it can start off where you know what you want, and so you think, well, if they don't know about this thing, then they're more likely to feel about me and the situation the way I want them to feel. And
Mhm.
especially when there are issues in the family and there's some issues with trust, you don't actually believe that if they have the full information that they'll be supportive. So one way to handle that is, let me just not tell you, and I'm going to keep this
Mhm.
as a secret, and then this is one way I can try to control what it is that you know.
Mhm.
But as we see with several characters in the book, holding those secrets sometimes will get you exactly to the place that you don't want to be.
Mhm.
And so I really wanted to have people just kind of sit in that and work through that and see it through the lens of this family, and think about what they would do differently, and maybe
Mhm.
even what we can do differently in our own lives.
Mhm. Yeah, I think I loved Mary's evolution the most through the book. Um, and I want to talk about that a little bit because I like how her therapist really pushed her
Hmm.
to reckon with her relationships and to admit the things that she didn't
Hmm.
want to face.
Hmm. Hmm.
And again, I'm asking this, it seems like I'm asking it over and over again, but why was it important to show, because really, I mean, Martha went to therapy when her sister asked her to go, but none of them really went to therapy other than Mary. So why did you have this arc in her
Hmm.
storyline? Why
So
was that
also
important?
Ruth also went,
Well,
but
yeah, Ruth went too,
Ruth's
but
Ruth's time there wasn't as exciting, as we'll just
yeah.
say, as exciting
Yeah.
as Mary's time there. Um, because I really wanted people to understand that we can go through really difficult things in life. And
Mhm.
sometimes we feel like, I don't know what to do. I don't know
Mhm.
how to work through this. And so
Mhm.
sometimes we do nothing.
Mhm.
Um, but I really wanted to really talk about mental health and talk
Mhm.
about the importance and the role of therapy, even if just no matter what it is that you're going through in your life. So
Mhm.
I think about health in a very inclusive way. So
Mhm.
mental health is health. That's one
Mhm.
piece of it. But also, to take it a step farther, just because, or a step further, just like we go and have primary care visits for prevention and for maintaining, health conditions and keeping them as low impact as possible, I believe
Mhm.
the same thing should happen with mental health.
Mhm.
I think everybody can use a therapist,
Mhm.
especially when you're dealing with heavy things, especially when if you have something that you're not talking to anybody about, you don't trust your family members to talk about, who says that you really have to go through it by yourself?
Mhm.
That's a great role for a therapist, because
Mhm.
maybe you don't have the types of relationships with your family members or your friends that would be conducive to talking about this thing that you really don't want to tell anybody about.
Mhm.
So, and I can't be the judge of if everybody should, find somebody to talk to, like a family member or friend. Maybe it's not safe for you to do that, but you
Mhm.
don't have to carry it alone.
Mhm.
You don't.
Yep.
And it's great to talk with to somebody who's got training to help people to navigate through those things so that you can learn the tools that you need to use to deal with it.
Mhm. Mhm. And
And therapists don't give.
I love how you showed that with Mary and the interaction with her therapist and the way that her therapist was empowering her by
Mm,
saying, "Yeah, okay, when you need to have these discussions, remember." She would ask her, "What are you looking to get out of
mhm,
this discussion?"
mhm.
And just remember these things as you're having this discussion, and remember, if you get to this point, that you can stop. She
Yeah.
really showed that she had the power in the situation, even when she felt like she didn't.
Thank you for that.
And
I
I
had a fantastic mental health sensitivity reader who's a licensed professional counselor. And if people are interested in learning more about that, especially if there are writers who'd
Mhm.
like to kind of figure out if it's important to have a mental health sensitivity reader,
Mhm.
I interviewed Janine Mulborn, who is my
Mhm.
mental health sensitivity reader, and the interview
Mhm.
is up on my Instagram. So I
Okay.
hope people will check it out. It's I think a 20-minute conversation.
Okay.
Because she's a counselor, and so
Mhm.
she was able to help me to make sure that things were appropriate, because I don't want
Mhm.
to mislead anybody or give anybody any wrong thoughts or
Mhm.
pictures of things.
Mhm. Yeah, it was excellent. It was I mean, I even learned some things like,
Oh, good.
there are people that I am angry at for things that they've done, and it's like, I have relationships with them and I've sort of let it go, but it I felt like Ruth, where
Mm,
things have not been I have not been acknowledged in the way that I feel like it. And
mm-hmm,
when she was having that conversation, I was like, "Huh, what
hmm,
would I expect
hmm.
from them if they, finally acknowledged it? And how would it make me feel? Would it
Yeah,
make me feel any better?"
yeah.
So it's
I love
really it
that.
really made me think
Yeah.
about some
I love
things.
that. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
sharing that. I really
Yeah,
love
it,
that.
it really made me think about some things. Now I want to talk about this sentence that you wrote
Okay.
because I love it. It's when you've been running from drama and then someone else's mess splashes on you, you might as well clean up the chaos in your own life because you're already dirty.
That's one of my favorite sentences in the whole book.
My
Thank
girl,
you. I love that sentence.
I
I love
love that.
that.
I was like,
You know where it came
underline.
from? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, sometimes, it's like sometimes there are things that we don't want to deal with because you don't want to
Mhm,
get to that place where you're
mhm,
upset or you feel like I'm having a good day. I don't want to deal with that. But it's
mhm,
like, well, now I'm already in that place and I see I'm doing okay. So let me go take care of that other thing.
mhm,
It's like when you're
mhm,
cleaning up a house, you
mhm.
already started sweating cleaning, might as well finish cleaning up everything. So to me, I think it's similar in life.
Right.
So let's deal with the things, deal with
Mhm,
all the things, and let's
mhm,
have peace in our lives. That's what I'm
mhm.
working toward.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel it was for me it was more like, "Oh, okay, you gonna throw your mess in my life? All right, well let's just clean the whole house then. Everybody gonna get a piece. Everybody gonna get the smoke. Let's just
That is
clean it all up."
that is not what I said, Audra, but I support your interpretation because it gets us to the same place. So I fully support it. I fully support it. And you know what? It really helps me to understand our whole dialogue around Martha too. Because in some ways we say the same thing, but we just got to say it Audra's way, and Audra's gonna be fine. So I support that. I support
I'm
that.
just saying,
Mhm.
that's how
I
I
support
felt.
that.
That's how
That's how
I
you feel.
interpreted. She was like, "Oh, okay, so you just gonna throw all this mess in my life and leave me to clean it all up? Okay, well I'm dirty. Let's go. Let's
Let's
get it
go.
all cleaned up.
Let's
Let's
get.
put it all out there. Come on."
That is so funny. I love it.
Especially with Mary, because everything that was going
Hmm.
on with her, and I can't say,
Hmm.
but
Right.
when that one person she called to the table in Zoom, and she was like, "Do you realize?"
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was just like, "Come on, let's get it out there,
Yeah.
clean it
And
all up."
and to your point, she wasn't sure when she was going to be ready. But
Mhm.
that's the point. Dealing with the mess with Martha, let her
Mhm.
know I'm ready. Let's go. Like
Yep.
you said,
Let's
come on, let's
go.
go.
Let's go.
Let's
Let's
go.
get it all. Everybody
Let's
getting
get.
some smoke today. Later, everybody, just call everybody to the table. I'm tired of you. I'm tired of you, and I'm tired of you. How about that?
Now you're gonna have people thinking Rosie Lee said go cuss everybody out. That's not what I said. That's
I mean,
not
that's
what
not what she
I
said. But I mean, if that's how you interpret it, if that's what's
said.
gonna
That's how
bring you
you.
peace,
That's
I'm just saying.
you're just saying. I got it. You're just saying.
We all arrive to peace in our own ways. We all have our own methods.
Hmm.
And we all know who the people are in our lives and how we have to deal with them. I'm
But
just saying.
the Gardens of Eden will help you to have tools so you can do that in an instructive, conducive way.
Or you can just say, "I don't like your ass, and this is why,"
You
and we
you
done.
could. You
You
could.
could.
You
Not as
could.
healthy.
But not as healthy,
Man,
right?
it would feel good at the time.
But you have to admit though that Mary learned how to say what needed to be said.
This is what I'm saying. That's what she did. She was like,
She
"All
learned how to
right,
say what she learned
I'm
how to say
dirty.
it.
I'm getting dirty because of everybody
Hmm.
else's issues. All right, let's
Hmm.
clean house."
Let's
She
clean
started
house.
with herself, but she was also like, oh, no, but you helped make this, we gonna clean up this mess together.
And she did it by her own rules, which was really my
Mm-hmm.
favorite part. Now, we won't tell people what that means, because that was
Mm-mm.
really my favorite part of
Mm-hmm.
Mary's. That was so much fun to write.
Mary is my favorite. Mary is
Mary's
that
your
girl.
favorite? Okay.
Mary's my
Okay.
favorite. Because
Mary's your
she's that
favorite.
girl. She's that
She
girl.
is. She is. Mary's a lot of fun.
She really, like I said, I loved her arc because she went from just doing what either Mary wanted or what
Mhm.
Martha wanted or what this other person wanted
Mhm.
to saying, I had things I wanted to do too.
Okay. Okay.
And she took back her power. She was letting
Mhm.
everybody else run her. And
Mhm.
she finally said, you know what? No,
Mhm.
I'm
But
going to do some things I want to do.
don't you want everyone to have their arc and everyone to have their
No.
healing? Is
No.
You're really not gonna let me go with this, huh? Okay.
Not with Martha.
Not with Martha. Okay.
Everybody else in the book, not Martha and
No.
not that other person.
Okay. Okay. I understand.
Who's just sashayed into the office. I'm not saying who it is.
No, you're not. Okay, but I know.
And I love the way Ruth handled that situation at the end too. Like, oh, you just gotta let things go. Bye.
Mm-hmm.
Done. Because I am when I tell you I was almost mad at you, when I was like, how you gonna have her agree to do the thing? Just because somebody is in your life, I will say this. I am a firm believer of, I don't care if it's a family member or not. Toxic is toxic. And I'm going to give you so many chances. And then I'm going to keep you out of my life for good.
Yes.
Because some people you have to love from a distance.
Right.
Period.
Now, I missed part of what you said because we had I think a Wi-Fi glitch. But
a little lag there. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I was just saying I don't believe that people should have a right to be in your life, regardless of whether they're related to you or not, if they are toxic.
Mm-hmm.
Toxic is toxic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give you only so many chances. And if you keep pushing that line, eventually you're going to be out of my life for good.
But a lot of us struggle with that. A lot of us, again, talking about Southern families, a lot of us struggle with that. And not just in the South. And that's part of the reason why that storyline is a part of this book, because we have to set boundaries and we have to say, this is how I'm going to be treated.
Let me tell you something about Audra. Okay. Audra has learned. And Audra has learned, just like Charlie Murphy said, there are habitual line steppers. And my job is to push them back over the line, to show them where the line is. This is the line. No more.
This is what we're not going to do today.
This is what we're not going to do. Because, I have tried to be, I was like Mary, letting people push me this way, that way, and nope. I guess that's why I like Mary so much, because I understand her trying to want to please everybody and have everybody like her and all. It don't work.
No, it doesn't.
It don't work.
It doesn't.
Because if you get this person to like you, then this person's going to be upset.
Right.
Then if you try and work on trying to make that person like you, then this and that person going to be upset. And you're going to spend your whole life trying to make people like you.
Right.
And you're going to be unhappy.
And Mary really struggled with that. But she learned.
Yes, she did. She learned. That's why I like Mary. Mary drew the line in the sand and was like, that's it. No more. No more.
No more.
And
what I love, and I guess I hope it's okay to say this about my own book, is that I think each of the characters in their own way had to learn a similar lesson. Some are still struggling with that a bit more than others. But I will say, I don't know if you've heard or not, but the Gardens of Edin is going to be a series. So book 2 will come out in spring 2025. Thank you. So there's more of the Gardin family on the way.
So I'm hoping that there's going to be more with Naomi, and I'm not going to say who because, but okay, because that secret, y'all, I just need y'all to understand that there is one hell of a secret in this book.
Big one.
And that when I read it, I had to close the book and go wash some dishes because I was just like,
you didn't see it coming?
No.
I'm sorry, this is so delightful. I love it.
I had to fold. Goodness. I was like, let me go wash some dishes. I'm gonna come back to this in a minute because I got to process.
I'm glad I helped you.
Process.
Washing dishes is good for processing. It is. It's very true.
I do a lot of thinking while I wash dishes. Yeah. Because I wash by hand because my dishwasher is broken. So I've been washing dishes by hand and I'm just like, be scrubbing pots and pans and stuff. I'm like, ooh. And I had to think about that. I was like, I mean, there was sort of a clue. Like a little one.
A little one. Okay.
2 little ones. But yeah, that just...
See, because I did try to soften the blow a little bit by offering some clues. But I didn't want to make it too obvious. So thank you.
No, because then they would figure it out. There were only 2. And they were only really clues after the secret was revealed. And I was like,
when you look
okay,
back,
that makes
you're
sense.
like, oh, yeah.
That makes sense. But, yeah. Oh.
I love it.
When I tell y'all there's so many things in this book to unpack, you can go back and read this book 2-3 times and get something different every time.
I love that so much. I love it so much. Thank you.
So let's talk about the town of Edin and family legacy. Tell our readers how and why Edin was founded, because I love that. And how you work the concepts of collective work and responsibility, unity, and cooperative economics. Got them Kwanzaa things going on.
Yes.
So let's talk about that. Yes. Talk about Edin. Tell our readers about it.
Thank you for picking that up. So, Edin was founded by previously enslaved people. And some of those people were the ancestors of the Gardin family. And so, I remember when I first learned about towns in the US that were founded by previously enslaved people. Places like Roberts Settlement in Indiana and Eatonville in Florida. And there were certainly others. But I really wondered, well, what would life be like for their descendants now if those towns were allowed to really thrive? Instead of facing some of the historical structural barriers that were put in place because they were founded by Black people. And so I played around with that, much like I did with the concept of what happened after the stories told in the Bible. It just really played around with it. There is a town in Georgia called Edin, spelled the traditional way, Eden. And since that town existed, I said, I don't think it's right in a fictional setting for me to, rewrite the history of that town. So I created one. I really wanted a place where, people could thrive and people could lead their own towns and just do well. So I created that for the Gardin family, and I put the family on a lovely estate because why shouldn't Black people have money and live on an estate? Why not? So if anyone's interested, there's a map, like an illustration of the estate on my website. There's a tab called Gardens Goodies. Ooh. So yeah, check it out and you can see where all the women live.
I just love that. Because, like you said, all Black people, everybody has dysfunction. It ain't just limited to Black folks. You have dysfunction, but you also just have these regular Black folks that have money and means. And these are normal problems. These are not problems that are uncommon.
Right.
They happen in every family. North, South, whatever.
Absolutely.
Black, white, whatever. So I love that there were issues, but it wasn't trauma, like the things like we would see, like no disrespect meant, but like Toni Morrison, James Baldwin, those types of things where you see all of that. that deeply physical and emotional, traumatic stuff. This you got things going on. It's
Yeah.
juicy.
It's real
But
life.
these people also have money, and
Yeah,
they
yeah.
live on the land that their ancestors
Yeah.
lived on. And
Yeah.
that is something that is rare. You do not
And
see a lot of Black land ownership. And when you
yeah,
do see it, you don't usually see it passed down from generation to generation to
right.
generation. So I love to see that.
Thank you. And I just wonder what if, for them not to have to pay a mortgage.
Right.
I mean, just what kind of freedom could we all have if we could live on family property in a nice house? Yeah, like you said, we have real life problems. People unfortunately pass away. Poor Ruth has lost 2 husbands. And she's dealing with this family conflict. But what would it be like? And they didn't always have the money that they have today, and you learn that in the book, how it happened. And they're still trying to grow and build, right? And so I don't want people to think that, this is a family that doesn't feel relatable because they have money. They have money, but they're still trying to grow and build. But what would it look like if we had the luxury of not having to worry about where we're going to live
mortgage,
and how we're going to pay to live there, right? And so, I because that's a dream, right? So it's like, what would happen if they could have that? What would they spend their money on? What are some potential downfalls of how they spent that money? And so we play around with that in the story too.
Yeah, and it's wonderful to see. It's wonderful to see Black people having those types of problems, having money issues, having not money issues some of it was a little, there were some things that happened that were misfortune, but it was also, okay, we have this company, we have this money, how we gonna manage it? Those are the kinds of problems I want to see Black people have in books more often.
I love
Absolutely.
that. Thank you. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, if you could spend a day with one of the characters from your book, who would it be, and what would you two do together for the day?
That's a good
Don't
question.
You dare say Martha?
No, it's not gonna be Martha.
Okay, good.
It's not. And I kind of playfully gave you a hard time about Martha, but I understand. Martha was fun to write, but Martha and I would not get along. Let me just say that. I'll just put it that way.
Thrown in the trash.
She put her in the trash. Martha and I would not get along. We would absolutely clash. But I would hang out with
make me feel bad. See, she's trying to make me feel bad about how I feel about Martha, and then she's going to admit that she would not get along with Martha.
Oh, no,
she's trying to make me feel sorry for Martha, knowing she wouldn't like her.
No,
see,
I would
okay. Go ahead and answer the question. Trying to make me feel bad.
I was not trying to make you. I was just trying to help you.
No, you was trying. You was trying to make me feel some kind of sympathy for her, knowing if Martha was there, you'd be looking at me like, I don't like her.
Martha. Or if Martha and I were friends, we would be like, I would be the pain in her butt friend. We would probably we would have periods where we couldn't hang out and couldn't talk because she would really just get on my nerves. She would. I can admit that.
But I would talk about Martha behind her back.
No, I would tell her to her face. Well, I mean, the friends. Well, let's not talk. I'm not gonna. Let's not go there. Let me answer the question that you asked me. I would hang out with Naomi. I love Aunt Naomi so much. I would hang out with her. She is fun. She is sassy. She knows how to get things done. And what I love about Naomi is she knows how to fly under the radar. She knows how to find out what she needs.
People's mail.
What? She knows how to find out what needs to be found out and do what needs to be done. Federal offense. I mean,
all I'm saying is Naomi might have some a certain set of talents that might come in useful if you needed to break the law.
I mean, she is
That's all I'm saying.
She is a sweet elder. who is an
Knows a lot.
upstanding.
She knows a lot.
She
Okay.
knows a lot. And she doesn't need everybody to know what she knows. That's
Nope.
I like people who know how to move like that.
Mm-hmm.
I like people who know how to move like that and who can teach me a thing or two. Because sometimes, folks. See, I'm not gonna show you how much we can be alike, but sometimes, folks, you just won't tell folks and do what needs to be done. But I am just really trying to grow and learn that sometimes you do that, but sometimes it's okay if people don't know what you know until the right time.
See, I haven't grown like that yet.
I'm working on it.
You work on it, okay? I'm gonna stay here for a minute.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go hang out with Naomi and learn that a
You
little
gonna
bit
hang out
more.
with Naomi.
Yeah.
Because, see, Naomi would look at you and the whole time she'd be smiling at you, but inside she'd be thinking, you treacherous little devil. I know all about you and what you did.
But there were times when Naomi did that.
Yes, but it was called for. See,
Was.
I'm not gonna wait till it's called for. If I know you doing some trash and you standing in my face trying to be phony, I'm gonna be like, okay, see, this is the thing, Rosie. If I tried to hold it in, my face has its own mind. So even if I hold it in, I'm gonna be looking at you like, so my face gonna tell it all.
I get it.
Anyway.
I get it.
So if my face is gonna tell it all, why not just
let it out? I understand.
Because if you don't let it out, then you have a heart attack.
It could happen.
I'm just saying. It'll take a toll on your body.
It can take a toll. It's hard to argue with that.
So I am preserving my peace.
Okay, I got it.
And my physical health.
I got it.
By letting it out. That's my story, and I'm
sticking to it. That's your story, sticking to it. You were so much fun. So much fun. So much fun. So much fun. You let me know when we're gonna hang out. That's what I need to know. We're gonna hang out and read some books.
I mean,
and talk about some books.
Yeah.
That's what we're gonna do.
Okay, I'm just saying. Don't take me nowhere because I'm gonna be that person that's in your ear talking about folks as they go by. Like, look. And then you're gonna be sitting there like, do I really want to hang out with her? Do I really like her? Because she keep talking about everybody. I'm just saying, I read people very well. It's a gift. My grandmother
I was about to say,
as a little girl.
That's a gift. That is a gift. It's a gift. It is.
My grandmama told me when I was little, she's like, you can read people very well. And I was like, huh? I was like 9 years old. She's like, trust me. Remember what I'm telling you. It'll be a gift when you're older. I was like, okay.
It's your gift.
Anyway.
And you have to use it.
Gotta use it. Anyway.
Yeah, that's right.
So your pen name, Rosey Lee, you said it's chosen in homage to the women in your family. Please elaborate.
Yeah, so there are a number of women in my family named Rose or something like it.
Okay.
And I really love flowers, as you probably can tell.
Couldn't tell.
So it just made sense for me. And it's also just a reminder that I carry them and their gift with me. As you can tell, this book is a lot about family, right? I mean, that's obvious. So it's a lot about family, but also the gifts that family members leave for each other and how we can contribute to each other's lives and impact each other's lives. And so when I think about these women in my family, I'm just so thankful for what they sowed into me. I'm thankful, first of all, that I had an opportunity to know them. And so, I'm talking, grandmother, great grandmother, even there's a Rose who's a great grandmother of mine who I've never met. And so just knowing that, we talk about we are ancestors' wildest dreams. When I think about the things that they went through in life so that I could be here, to talk about families and write about families, I just wanted to honor them.
Wonderful.
Thank
Wonderful. You. So what's next for you on your author journey? You kind of talked about it a little bit. This is a series, so is that
yes?
Do you have the second book in the works?
I do. Working on it now. So it's a lot of fun. This is one thing I didn't expect. from talking to people about the book, just hearing all the strong opinions about the characters. And so it's going to be fun to see how some of that spills over into what happens in the second book, as well as how people react to the second book. So I can't wait to talk to you.
Oh yeah, because you coming back.
I appreciate that. Y'all heard her say I'm coming back, which means
I ain't scared. I said you coming back. You coming back.
Okay, I'm just saying we might have to for the next interview record revisit some pieces of this interview. Just saying. I'm not saying which pieces. We may have to revisit some things. That's all.
What are you doing? What are you writing?
I don't know.
I think you do know. I'm sure Martha's. Is everybody going to be in this book?
Everybody. So thank you for asking me that, because I do want to address that. Yes.
Okay.
Everybody's going to be back. Everybody's going to be back.
Everybody.
The 4 main characters will be back. Yes.
Okay.
And I don't know if I can say that. Yeah, let's just stick with the 4 main characters will be back. I think I can also say that
the ends. What does that mean? The 2 ends?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. And what I can also say is, although this first book is a multi-point of view, it visits the point of view of the 4 main characters, the next book will be from one point of view, but that's all I can say. But all 4 women will be back.
When this recording ends, you're going to have to tell me.
And I'm okay with that, because you might need some time you might need some time to get ready.
You better. If it is from I can already imagine. See, Rosey, you playing games.
I told you we started off laughing when we started. I told you this was going to be fun, and this is way more fun than I even expected at that point. So, this is so funny to me.
She thinks it's funny to play with my emotions, y'all. See, all y'all authors out here, y'all all do this. Y'all be doing these things to me and just be laughing. Just funny.
Just a little funny, just a little bit.
Okay, that's cool.
So yeah,
that's fine.
But they will all be back, because we want to see all the women. We do.
We don't want to see all the women.
Okay.
You didn't ask me.
I didn't. You're right.
There are certain people I don't want to see.
You don't want to see.
I'm just saying.
I understand.
There's 2 people that you could leave out this book coming.
I understand.
And I wouldn't be upset.
I do.
And you know who they are.
I do.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Okay. As long as we understand each other.
We understand. We see each other.
Got it. Okay. So where can readers find your books?
So my books are my book, soon to be books, too, coming out next year. But they're available wherever books are sold. So the usual online retailers, but also certainly independent bookstores. They have the book, and several of them are carrying it in store. But if you go and they don't have it in store, feel free to ask the indie bookstore to order it for you, because they can.
Absolutely.
But it's everywhere.
Yay! Including Barnes and Noble. There's no S on the end of Noble, y'all. No. Please stop saying Barnes and Noble. It drives me up a wall.
I understand.
Barnes and Noble. Just saying. Whew!
You are so funny. But yeah, but it's a real, that's a valid observation. It's
a thing.
It's very true.
Unless you're saying it in ownership way, Barnes and Nobles has it because you're putting ownership. But if you're just saying, I'm going to Barnes and Noble,
then it is.
Read the signage when you go to the store.
Our people are creative.
Oh yeah, we are. I mean, I love y'all. Don't get mad at me. I'm just saying. I'm just trying to help out a little bit. Anyway.
But yes, it's at Barnes and Noble. It is.
Okay. All right. And where can we find you on social media and the internet?
Yes. So I am everywhere at Rosey Lee Books. It's ROSEYLEEBOOKS.
Okay. And then is that your website as well?
Yes. My website is roseyleebooks.com. So yeah,
All
come and
right.
visit me. Come see me. As I mentioned, check out the Gardens Goodies tab on my website. You'll find a playlist of music inspired by the book. You'll see the Garden Family Estate.
I'm gonna have to go check
Yeah,
that out.
yes. There's a book club kit. Lots of free goodies there for you.
All right. All right. Well, we have come to the end of our show. Thank you for sharing your time and talents with us today. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me. You are a joy. So much fun. So much fun.
Good. I'm glad you had fun, and y'all know what time it is. I usually, leave you with a quote. But instead of that, today I'm going to leave you with a thought that is paraphrased from the Gardens of Eden. And that thought is this: close the door on prioritizing someone else's feelings over your own healing. You deserve to have peace. Until next time, y'all, you know what to do. Grab a book and read, and I'm out.
Thank you for lending me your ear today. If you've enjoyed this independent podcast, you can help me continue to shine the light on Black authors and their stories by becoming a patron at patreon.com/betweenthereads, or by giving a one-time gift at www.ko-fi.com/betweenthereadspodcast. That's ko-fi.com/betweenthereadspodcast. Tune in next time for another great episode.